Hello students, we'll start today's class. So we have been discussing about script writing. We have introduced the script writing in the last class. Now today we will talk about the different ways or different tips about writing a screenplay. From the next class we will be practicing about to write a screenplay. So this class we will know about the different ways and different techniques of writing a screenplay and the different things that you have to keep in your mind, think about, do. Most importantly, you should do this before writing a screenplay or while writing a screenplay. Now, here are 10 tips to write a screenplay. Now, the screenplay, of course, the first step is the story that we have talked about in the last weeks. And I guess the techniques of writing a story and the different types of stories and etc. are clear to you. So still, if there is any confusion about the story writing part, you can see the videos again. You can ask me even. We can discuss it even one more time in brief. I can't repeat everything, but I can discuss the story writing part in brief one more time in the class. All right. But I hope that all of you are clear about writing the story and the different techniques of writing a story and etc. Till now. But again, you will be doing more practices. You will write some more stories. And now you have to concentrate on writing a screenplay or a script. So the first point is write what you know, right? So you should know about the subject clearly about which you are writing. That is the most important thing. As the beginner, you are all beginners, right? You have never written a script before in your life. You have never, I don't think you have written a story before this subject or before these classes. So now that whatever you are writing, you should be clearly knowledgeable. You should have clear knowledge about what you are writing. So whatever you're writing, it should not be alien to you. You can write about things that have happened to you or to your known people. You know, you have met maybe hundreds of people in your life. So if you're writing something, writing a story or a screenplay, you should start from there. About things you have known or about things that you have seen or you have read about, not something that is completely unknown to you. For example, it will be the best for you to write a story about people or society in China, right? Because you have lived there all your life, you're born there, lived there, you know the people, how they talk, how they dress, how they think, you know, what are the culture, all those things. Now, if you're in the beginning, if you're just starting to write a story or a script or something about India, it will not be possible to you because you have to do so much research about the people in India. You have never visited India. You barely know about the culture and how people talk in India, how people dress in India, and all these things, right? You can do it. Of course, you can do it. But in the beginning, it is not a thing that you should do because it will be much more tough for you to concentrate in writing the different interesting part in the story, to make up a conflict, you know, to make up the characters, to make up the dialogue, if something you're writing is completely unknown to you. If you have experience, if you have a lot of experience in writing the story or the script, then you can do all those things. If you have a lot of time, you know, 2-3 months time, then of course you can do. But for now, for the beginning, as a beginner, you should start from writing about something that you know very well. Okay. So in that way, whatever you are writing, that about what you are writing, about the people or cultures or place, the place is also very important. You have not visited India. Whatever you have seen India are in pictures or in videos or in news, right? So it's difficult for you to know about the places, about the architecture, about the interior of the rooms. Why all these things are important? Because you are now writing a story for the purpose of a screenplay. that will be eventually made into a movie, right? So the details about the people's behavior, gestures means when I'm talking, how my hand is. And all these things differ sometimes from culture to culture, right? People in China talk in a certain way. People in India talk in a certain way. People in Australia, they talk in a certain way. So unless and until you have a very clear knowledge about all these details, you will not be very successful in writing them in a way that it will be believable. People will be looking at it and believing it on a screen, right? So from the talking style, from the behavior to the furnitures in the room, architectures of a building, etc., has you have to think clearly about them, right? Because you are showing that on a screen. People are not just reading the story. When you're writing a screenplay, you are showing that on a screen. People are viewing it, right? In a film, there are production designer or art directors, who will, if you're writing a story about China, they will make a design of a room in China, right? Or shoot in a room that is in China. In that way, the furnitures, the rooms, architecture, everything will be, of that place. So as a scriptwriter, you have to think about all those details from the beginning, right? If I have to write a story for a film that is based on China, I can't, because I have not visited China that many number of times. I have not visited that many people's home in China. I don't know how your rooms actually look like, right? So I have to do a lot of research before writing about it, right? So beginning, just write about things that is known to you. Write what you know. Okay. Don't just start writing about something that you have never visited, you have never seen, you do not know. You need a lot of researches to write about that. Okay. So whether you're writing a story that for the purpose of a script, or you're just writing a screenplay, write about something that you actually know. Second point is start. How will you start? Now, start from the basics. Okay, just as I said, write about something that you actually know. So start from the basic. Your first story or your first screenplay should not be about something that you have never experienced in your life. The easiest way to get hold on this writing is if you start from yourself. You know, we never realize, but we are a very interesting characters, all of you. So how you can think? You can think about one day in your life, maybe your first day in college. Okay. You are now, I think, in your second or third semester. Imagine the first day in your college. How was it? Right? You have come to a new place. You were quite excited about it. It's a new, completely new place. You have met new people who were your teachers or who were your friends, right? Think about your emotions and feelings, how you were feeling. Were you feeling afraid that, oh my God, it's, I don't know anyone here, whether I will make friends, whether I will like someone, whether I will be doing good in studies? How is the college? Is it very far from my home? When can I visit my family? Okay. So all these things were going in your own mind, right? It was in my first day in my college, I was thinking about all these things. So all of us do this. Now you met some people, you met some of your classmates, you had some conversations, right? You have talked. Some of them you really like, some of them you didn't like, right? So all those things you can think about. Think about your realizations, what you thought that, okay, this is a very nice place. Okay, oh my God, this dorm is so, it's not very nice. I really like to go to my home and live in my own room, right? Or wow, this dorm is so interesting. They have so we 4 people or 5 people are living together, and I can talk the whole night with my friends. So all these things there was there in your mind, right? And all these things you have already experienced just in one single day, right? So if you just think about that and write a story, how will it be? It will be very, very interesting. Believe me, I have done it and it's been extremely interesting. I have never realized that my first day in my college was so interesting. But when I have written it in a story format, right, in a proper narrative format, I have found it that it's been a very interesting story. Okay, now imagine that to be shown in a short film, in a short movie, right? There you have got your story and script. So it's always easier to start from the basics and, think about yourself, think about your friend, or you have met a very interesting character. You have one of your friend might be extremely interesting. Whatever he does is very funny. He does very funny things. He is very good in studies, or he's very good in sports or whatever, right? You can start writing the story about that person. So the the more you start from the basics, not about something which is away from you, or you have to imagine a lot and all those things, the more you start from things which have already happened with you, or you have seen, or you have heard stories from your parents, right? It is easier for you to develop and frame and create a story. Okay, how you should write it? You should not write it, okay, I visited the college on the first day. It's not an essay, it's a story, right? So you should put interesting stuff, you should put interesting dialogues, you should make important characters. So whatever we have studied in the story format, whatever way we have studied how to write a story, right? I think you remember the narrative style, linear narrative, non-linear narrative. Guys, it's very important that you remember all those things properly. Linear narrative, non-linear narrative, how to write a story, how to start, what's the conflict, and all those things you should remember properly, right? Because I'm not going to discuss them in middle, now while I'm discussing the screenplay. I will guess that all of you know that. So if you don't remember, if you don't know, it will be difficult for you. Okay, so the story part, whatever we have studied, you should know it properly. All right. So that is where you should start, because you're developing the screenplay. The more detail you have in the story format, the more easier you have, about you can think about the detail. Like I said, this is the first day in your college. When you think about that, you can completely imagine it, right? Because you have been there, right? So the what kind of college it is, what kind of friends you have met, and all those things, and even some dialogues. You can write something from imagination, but most of the things you have already experienced yourself. Most of the things have happened already with you, right? So you can write whatever you have actually talked. You can write whatever you have actually about the people whoever actually you have met, right? Of course, you can change some names. You can put in an interesting character. You can create an interesting character. You can add some imagination, but ultimately, it's mostly that have happened with you. So it's much more easier for you to visualize it, to think it as a movie, as a film, right? So always start from the basic. Another way of starting is developing a screenplay for an already written story. The story is available with you, so you have already got the story. Now you develop it and focus on the script, on writing the script and imagination. Use your imagination and references from the story to visualize the story. Okay, so that is one way, of course. Another way is, and I'm always talking now about how to start, right? So now, of course, that is one way. You have already got a story. You can develop the screenplay from that story. Or you can think about your own life or one of your friends' life or your parents' life or something which is extremely closely related to you, and you can write the story about that. So in that way, you will be very much clear about whatever you will write in the story or whatever you will do in the story. Got it? The third point is do your research. Very, very important. You should do a proper research about whatever you are writing and the script or story about. It is very, very important to make the situations and characters believable and authentic in their behavior and surroundings. So, for example, if you're writing a story about ancient China, right? You should do a proper research about what time period. There has been so many time periods. There has been so many dynasties, right? Song dynasty, Yang dynasty, Edo rulers, and all these different dynasties that have ruled China. So if you are writing about a particular time, who were the rulers then? What were the different kinds of architectures in that of the different buildings during that time? What's the costume? What were the dresses that people used to wear? What's the language spoken, right? How was the music? How the dialogues were spoken? What's the hairstyle of men and women? The relationship between people, even the politics during that time. So all those things has to be thought about carefully while you are writing a story, right? So whatever you are writing about, if you're writing about a story about gangsters in America, for example, then you should be aware of the way they talk, the costumes they wear, the other details, all the other details. So the more detail you want, you have to do the more research on the subject. Okay. If you do not, if you know, there are a lot of films which are not that much good film, which don't show things in an authentic way. Okay, but they are not examples, right? You know, there are examples of films that we have seen, you know, Chinese films through which we have got an idea about Chinese culture, you know, how the architectures of the buildings were, how the people were, how the dresses of the people were, how were the hairstyles, what's the talking, you know, the style of talking, where then you about the different wars, about different battles, about different kings and rulers, and all those things, right? So if you are not showing them in a proper way, if you are giving wrong information, misleading information, then I will have a wrong information, right? If I'm seeing your film or I'm reading your story, I will have wrong information because I have not read the history of China. I'm only getting an idea about that period of China, of ancient China, through your story or through your film, right? So you have to have the responsibility of making your story, of writing out the story in a very authentic way. Got it? So there should be a proper research about if something you're writing, of course, that you do not know very clearly, you should have a very proper research about that. Okay. So fourth point is how will you have it? Of course, you can read. And the most important part of this research is seeing other films. Okay. Other movies, you know, you will not read a screenplay, and it's not okay to read a screenplay, but the more you see the movies, the films, you can understand that, you can understand the way of storytelling, you can understand the technique on which a particular story is being told in a film. The most important thing here, students, is to understand this, that reading a story and viewing a story is different, right? When you are reading a story, you can imagine by yourself. Okay, I'm telling this is a story about a 40-year-old guy, and I'm writing this. I am showing you, I mean, I am telling you that this is a story about a 40-year-old guy. You are imagining in your own brain how this guy is, right? So you, all of you can have different imagination of different 40-year-old guy. Some of your imagination, he will have a beard. Some of your imagination, he will be wearing eyeglasses. In some of your imagination, he will be lean. Some of your imagination, he will be fat, right? So different imagination of different you can have when you are writing a story. But when I'm writing a story, I mean a script that should be viewed in a movie, what I'm doing, I'm showing you an actor, that this is my character. This is the 40-year-old guy I'm talking about. I am giving you a specific actor. I'm showing you a specific face. So you don't have anything to imagine, right? So when I'm writing the script for the film, I should be very, very careful in writing that what kind of actor I want. Do I want a person with a beard? Do I want a lean person? Do I want a character with an eyeglass? You know, all those things you have to write in the script. So so it's completely different way of writing a story or a script for a film than writing just for a book for the reading purpose. Here it should be viewed, it will be viewed, it will be seen, whether a book is just for reading. Got it? So this is different. And the more the movies you will see where they have told the stories, successful movies, good movies you will see, whether they have told the stories in a way that it is good to see in the film, you will understand this. And neither I can explain this in a proper way, nor anyone can explain this. Okay? Only you have to realize it, you have to understand it, the more you see movies. So this is the most important part of the research. And without it, you cannot simply write a screenplay. Okay, so your job is to see as many as films as you can. Okay, and maybe from now, this week, or maybe from the next week, in one of the classes, you have 2 classes with me per week, I think. So in one of the classes, we will be seeing at least a short movie or a long film. Okay, we will be seeing, and you have to analyze it, you have to understand it, and sometimes I will give you some exercise of the movie about relating to the movies that we will be seeing during the class time. Okay, so that will be a part of your exercise of the classes. And apart from that, I am requesting all of you to see as many as any language, English, Chinese, any language films, good movies, good films. If you want some movie suggestions, I can give you, and understand how the directors have told the story in the movie. Okay, so that's very, very important. Now that the basics are right, the research part, the where you should start and what you should write is clear. Now coming to the writing part. The writing part is first is character development. The story is, remember this thing, the story is always about a character or different characters. So I'm showing a film, I'm showing a movie because of some characters, because something have happened with some people. That may be 1%, 2%, 100 people, right? So the story is always about some characters. Okay, so the characters development should be relatable and understandable by the audience. Okay, so whatever character you are writing about, that should be, it should be like that. Okay, I have met this person like that. Okay, I know someone like this, who talks like this, who dresses like this, and it should be as much, again I am repeating that you should be able to visualize the character when you are writing it, right? So for example, if you're writing a story about a college student, make the characters realistic. Think about his or her favorite color, what kind of dresses the character wears, what's the bag that character carries, how he talks, how he walks, what's the hand gestures he used, different ways, different things. You know, you can take a reference from you or your friend. You know, you can keep that. You can find one of your friends move in an interesting way. You can find one of your friends talk in an interesting way. So when you are developing your character for your story, include those details. Make the person talk in the way that your friends talk. Make the person walk in the way that another of your friends walk. You know, that will make the character interesting. And when it will be shown, if you're showing it, making it as a movie, people will say, oh my God, this person works like one of my friend. You know, oh my God, this person talks like one of my friend, bro. So these things will be relatable, right? So character development is the single most important thing in a screenplay, in a film. You know, as I have said, in a story, the plot development is extremely important. In a movie, the character developments are extremely important because the characters will push the plot forward, and we will be seeing the movie through the character's eyes. Got it? How the character, what the character is doing, what the character is saying, what the character is behaving. We will be understanding the story from their point of view, whatever is happening with them. Now, for example, if you are seeing a movie, a horror film, you are showing that there are ghosts and the ghosts are disturbing some characters. Now, remember this, the ghosts are not coming and disturbing you, right? So how will you feel afraid? Ultimately, a horror film, it will be a good horror film if you're feeling scared, if you're feeling afraid. Now, how will you be feeling afraid? If it is the characters are really feeling afraid, right? Something wrong is happening with the character and you are feeling sorry for them. You're feeling sad for them. You are feeling afraid because something is coming and haunting them. Got it? So in a film, everything is around the characters. In a romantic story, in a love story, the boy and girl have broke up. Now, no one have broken up with you, right? But you are feeling sad because the boy have broken up with the girl in the film, right? You are feeling sorry for that girl. You are feeling sad for that girl. So unless and until the characters are developed and characters are written and shown in a nice, proper way, it will not be relatable with you. You will find who is this? Which guy talks like this? Which girl cries like this? So, like that, if you think, then the characters will not be very much successful. The storytelling will not be very much successful. The film will be not that much good. So, while you are writing the script, because you already have the story with you, you don't have to think about developing the plot and all those things. Now you should think more about developing the character. And we will have a complete different session and classes about character development. So it will be more clear to you later. Next is writing dialogues. Story cannot be without any dialogue, mostly in films. Okay. A story can be without any dialogue, of course, but in films, mostly the dialogues are most essential and extremely important. For example, in a story, you can write, John is feeling very upset about the fact that he has not been chosen for the school football team. He thinks there is a partiality towards Mark because he is the director's son. Okay, so this is the story. This is the story. This is written in the story. Got it? So you can write it in a story. There is no dialogue here. You're just writing about the John's feelings and what he thinks, right? John is feeling very upset and what he thinks. John is feeling upset because he has not been chosen for the school football team, and why he is feeling upset, or why what he thinks as there is been a partiality towards Mark because Mark is director's son, right? Now, how will you show this in a screenplay? How will you show this in a movie? In a screenplay, you have to express this through the dialogue spoken by John to someone else. John is sitting and talking about this whole issue with someone else and explaining this. Or there is a voiceover of John. Mostly, not in most cases, this kind of things, John will have a dialogue talk with someone else and it will be expressed. So it is very, because without that, there is no way of showing John's feelings in a film. What John is thinking in a film, how can you show that? Without a voiceover or without John's dialogue, right? So it is very important to write the dialogue in a way that reflects the character's personality, what the character is feeling, what the character is thinking, and whether the character is shy or outspoken. So if John is shy, he will have very less words to say. If John is outspoken, he might be shouting to the director or to the school manager about this problem. If he is afraid for some reason, he will not speak that much, right? If he is angry, then he will be shouting and telling, right? So when you are writing about the dialogue, you should be careful enough to write it in a way that reflects the character's personality, how the character talks, and show the character's thinking, feelings, etc. Right? So dialogue writing is very, very important. How you will do it in a proper way is you can write, when you are writing a dialogue, when you're writing two people talking with each other in a screenplay, you can speak out loud the dialogues. Okay, so you will realize whether it is sounding normal, how other people talk or how you talk, whether it's sounding normal or it is sounding extremely dramatic, it's sounding boring or whatever. Okay, so whenever you are writing the dialogue for a film or in a screenplay, it's always, it's always said to, you should speak out the dialogues and listen to yourself. Okay, so you will get a very clear idea. Again, like character development, we will have a different class about dialogue writing. Okay, about the techniques of dialogue writing, about the different ways of dialogue writing, we will have a different class. Next point is make your scripts relatable. Okay, so even, for example, you're writing about a love story. There, it's you can write something uh, about a love story of someone you know, or your own love story, or two people you have met, or something like that. Okay, try to make characters say dialogues, create problems and solutions that we face and or you can face in your own life. Okay, not some out of the blue things, not something which is unrealistic. Don't write something that we can never imagine or is absolutely non-realistic. Okay, write about something that have already happened with many of us, or that have already can happen. For example, love stories, family problem, your parents will not accept, the girl's parents will not accept, so these kind of issues. Okay, and not only these kind of stories, even if you're writing about a sci-fi or an alien story, you should write it in a way that the audience can relate to it or understand it. Okay, so the aliens you will see mostly like humans. They will have two hands, maybe four hands, maybe five hands, but they will have some hands. They will have a head. They will have a body. We don't know in reality how aliens are. We have never seen one alien, right? But when you're showing that in a film, you have made these aliens like somewhat like a human being, or an alien will look like a particular animal, like a lizard, like a dragon, right? So when you are even making imaginary things, somewhat if it is related to things which is around us, which we know, which we have seen, it makes things much more believable and people will actually relate to it, believe to it. Okay. So even if you are writing a story about an alien world, think about the problems or issues in that world. Okay. Whether there is a water problem, whether there is a climatic problem, whether there is a political problem, right? We are facing water problem in our world. We are facing climate change issues, right? So if I'm writing about an alien world where their civilizations is much more advanced than us, of course they might have solved the climate problem or they might have facing the water problem, right? So these kind of things, if you relate even in a fantasy stories, if you have connection with reality, then only we can believe in them easily. All right. So always make your scripts or stories relatable. Doesn't matter what subject you are writing about, whatever subject you are writing about, if that is connected with reality. Okay. If something about that is always faced, experienced by us or faced by us, or we have seen in around us and all these things, we can believe in the script more. We can find the script much more believable. Okay. Guys, just give me 1 minute. I'll drink some water. All right. Now the next point is think and write in a new way. It's very hard. That's why it's letter. But story can be common or known. Whatever story you are writing, it can be about a common subject. In India, many films, there is this huge filmmaking industry. I don't know you've heard about Bollywood, right? There are so many films, Hindi films, Hindi language films produced in India. Uh, Most of them have the same story. Okay. Maybe there is a love story about a boy and girl or something. Most of them will have the same kind of story. But many of the films are very interesting and different from each other. Right. So the thing is, you can say the same story, but you should say it in a different way. So many films are about alien invasion. We have seen Hollywood films. So many films are about alien invasion. Aliens coming from other planet and trying to destroy Earth. So many films. Five, 6 films are made in the last 5 years about the same thing. But many of them we have seen or we have liked because they are telling the same story, but in a different way. Okay. Some films have shown the problem that the common people are facing in during an alien invasion. Some people are showing the problem that the aliens are facing. Some films are showing the problem that the army people are facing, right? So the same story can be told in different ways, right? Uh, and all of them can be interesting. So when you're writing the script, okay, write about how to tell the story rather than the story itself. Okay, the story can be very common. Like I said, if all of you are writing about your first day in college, that is very common. All of us will have the same kind of first day. We will be meeting our new teachers. We will be meeting our new friends. We will be we will be going to the canteen. We will be liking or not liking the food. We will see the dorm and where we should live. So our first day, even yours and mine's first day in our college is more or less the same, right? But the way you are telling your story can be completely different than mine. Okay. And that should make the difference. So try to think about the way of telling the story rather than the story itself. You can have an idea, but you think about how I am going to show it in the movie. What's the change I will have in my story than the others that will make it much more interesting? Okay, so the technique of writing or telling the story and majorly thinking about the story or telling the story in a new way is what is more important, right? So the screenplay, the story you are thinking about, it can be the same, it can be very common or known, but how you are telling the story, you know, there are a lot of fantasy movies where they are showing the same kind of monsters and all, but they are shown in a different way. Some movies are about the monsters, you know, they are showing more emotions, or the story is from the monsters point of view, perspective. Something is about from a personal perspective, something is about from the state's perspective, the country's perspective. So the same story can be told in 10 different ways, 50 different ways. So you should think about the way you are being told the story. I mean, in the way you are going to tell the story, all right? And that's what makes the storytelling or the script writing much more interesting. The most important thing is, as I said before, visualizing the story. It's screenplay is about writing a story to be viewed as a movie. It's not to be read. Like I said, when I'm telling a story, I can write something and I can leave the imagination, the readers to imagine whatever it is, right? But when I'm writing a screenplay, I'm not writing it just for reading. I'm writing it to be shown in the movie. Okay, so whenever you are writing a screenplay, you yourself should imagine it, okay, and visualize it. Means it's like making a drawing a picture in your own mind. Visualizing it is imagining a picture in your own mind. For example, you're writing a script, excuse me. For example, you're writing a script about a couple living in a home. Okay, now the story is about one couple in a home. Now, in a film, you are going to show the home. So, as a script writer, you should think about the home. How many rooms are there? What is the color in the walls? Is there any frames or pictures in the wall? How many windows are there? Is there a balcony? How is the kitchen? Is there any couch in the living area? And all the details. How is there a carpet? Whether it's in a cold place or in a warm place, is there in a so it's snowy in a place where it snows, so they may have a fire inside the home, right? Is there a air conditioning machine? Is there fans? Is there lights? So the more detail you yourself imagine about that particular thing or the particular place or the room, it will be better for the story, for the screenplay. Because you are going to write it for visualizing, for seeing purpose. Remember this always. Whenever you are writing the script, you are writing it for viewing purpose, not for reading purpose. Okay, now we are going to read it, but the next step that we are going to do in this subject is to draw the storyboard, where all the scenes you have to draw. That means you have to draw the room. Now, if you have a clear detail about the room's furniture, the color of the room, and etc., it will be much easier for you to draw them. Or next step is making a film, right? It will be much easier for the production designer or for the set designer to design the room based on your script. Now, if there is a kitchen, the characters can sometimes go in the kitchen and talk, right? So sometimes you can make the characters not talk in the living area, but also in the kitchen, sometimes in the bedroom, whether there is another room. So all these things, it's always better for you to visualize whatever story you are writing for the screenplay. The more you visualize, you will have a clear idea about whatever you are writing. Okay, if you're thinking about writing a screenplay about for example, two men are talking on a street at night time. Okay. Now, during night time, it's night, and two men are talking, standing on the street. Okay. When I'm telling you this, try to imagine. Okay. I guess all of you, when you're imagining this, two men are talking on a street during night. You can imagine, you are imagining it in a different ways. But when I'm telling two men are talking on a street under a light post during the night time, right? Then you get a more clear idea. Then whatever your imagination is, all of your imagination has a light post, because I have already mentioned that. So that these two men are talking with each other under a light post during night on the street. Got it? Two men are talking with each other under a light post, standing on the street during the night time. A light is coming behind them from a house window. So you have again got a picture, right? There is a light coming behind them from a house window. Okay, there is a lamppost just in front of the house, and the two men are talking with each other under the house, standing under the lamppost, and light is falling on them from the window behind, right? So all of you is getting a much more clear picture. When I am myself visualizing it, I am myself telling you in the way I am thinking. So the script is about that. How, as a script writer, you are thinking about that picture, you are imagining the movie, and you are writing it in the way that everyone should almost visualize, should almost have a very clear picture in their mind when they are reading the script. Okay, so there is a big spaceship. If I'm just telling this, there is a huge spaceship. Now, huge spaceship means what? Okay, maybe some of you imagine this. There is a huge spaceship. Maybe some of you are imagining 50 feet long spaceship. Maybe some of you are imagining a 20 feet long spaceship. Maybe some of you are imagining a 100 feet long spaceship. But if I am telling you there is a big spaceship as big as the size of Guangzhou, then you have a complete understanding of how big it is, because you know how big Guangzhou is. You guys live in Guangzhou, right? Or I am telling you it's a big, huge spaceship size of the Canton Tower. So you already know how long, how tall the Canton Tower is. All of you have seen that. So when I'm telling this, you can almost imagine a spaceship as big as that. So the more detailed, a clear picture I am giving you as a story writer or as a script writer, you can almost imagine it and you can almost paint a picture on it based on that, right? So it's very, very important that as script writers, when you're writing the script, you should imagine, you should visualize the story, you should visualize the detail. Okay, so that is what is very, very important, because again, you are not writing it for the purpose of reading. You are writing it for the purpose of making it into a movie that will be seen. Got it? So the last point is practice a lot. You can't expect, neither I am expecting that your first script will be the best. No, it will not be. It will be very, very bad. It will not be even successful. It will be very unsuccessful. You will make a lot of mistakes. Okay, do not worry. I am not going to judge you based on your first written script. I'm not going to give any marks to it. Okay, I'm not going to assign any marks to it. Don't worry about that if it is bad. But you have to practice a lot so that you understand how you should tell the story, what's the story, what's the structure you should follow, how you should write a script, because it's not an easy thing. Okay, as I said, all these things, if you follow, if you see a lot of films, if you read a lot of stories, if you understand the writing techniques, you will write better and better. And you have to practice yourself a lot. So what you can do is you can write short stories, for short movies, screenplays, about 3 to 5 pages. You remember, one page of screenplay is equal to 1 minute of screen time. One page of script is equal to 1 minute of screen time, right? So for 3 to 5 pages of screenplays, it will be 3 to 5 minutes of a short film. So you can think about writing about a short film. So 3 to 5 pages, it is not much to write, right? 3 pages, 4 pages, 5 pages maximum. Okay, write a lot, write every day. So the more you are writing, the more number of scripts you're writing, you will see that you are developing the way of imagining things, the way of visualizing things, because all these things requires practice. And for writing good scripts, successful scripts, you should practice a lot. Okay. Also, you can practice writing multiple scripts for the same story. You have got a script, you have got a story, you can write three different scripts telling the story in 3 different ways. Got it? That also you can do. So there are a lot of different practices you can do, and each week I'm going to give you exercises, okay, which you have to do in writing the script. Okay, like I said, I will give you very short stories based on which you need to write scripts. And first few exercises will be like that. I will already give you the story. We have to just write the script. Okay, maximum 5 pages of script. So 5 minutes of film. And later you will have to write the story also and the script also. Okay. So these are the 10 different points. First is write what you know. Okay, always write something that is relatable to you, not something which is completely alien to you. Start from the basics. Write about yourself. Write about your first day in college. Write about your one day of your life, which is very an interesting day. Write about your friends. Write about your family. Right? Do the research, whatever you're writing, whatever story you have thought about, do the research properly. Then only you will be able to get a very, very clear idea about whatever you are writing. See other films and figure out what you like about the movie. Okay. Understand the technique of storytelling. Okay. That is very important. Reading a story for reading and story for film viewing are completely different. So think about that. See a lot of films, and this is the most important part of the research. Okay. Once you start, develop the character. Okay, make the character as realistic as possible, as relatable as possible. Okay, the audience should be almost understand the character very well. So take references from real life, take references from people around you. Big directors, big actors always say that they observe people around them, how those people talk, how different people talk, work, move, different things, and they write the characters. So always observe people around you, take references from people around you and yourself also, no problem in that, and develop the character properly. We will have separate classes on character development later. Dialogue writing, it's all about in a film, it's all about you can understand the film about through dialogues, through what the character is speaking with each other in most of the films, not in every single movie, but in most of the films. So you should write a dialogue that will express the thought, the thinking of the character, the feelings of the character, also how the character is, what's the character's personality. So different people will have different ways of dialogue, right? If a person is shy, that character will have a different way of speaking than a character who is very smart, who is very outspoken, right? So you have to keep in your mind the different ways of dialogue writing. And the best practice is speak yourself, speak aloud, speak out loud the dialogues you are writing. And when you listen to yourself, you can find that whether it is normal, in the normal way you are speaking, or it is something that you are, it's very abnormal or unrealistic. Again, we will have a separate class on dialogue writing later. Make your scripts relatable. So whatever your writing is, it should be having the problems or the characters, something relating to us, something that we see around us. So even if you're writing about an alien world, write about the characters in a way that we see around us. Write about the problems in that in that world that we see around us, right? So always do something which is relatable, which is not completely unrealistic. We will never relate to that. All right. So make your scripts, imagine from the ground, then you can move wherever you want. But the basics will always should be things that we see, we have experienced, we know. Okay. Think and write in a new way. The same story you can tell in 10 different ways. And the 11th time you're telling the story, that can be completely different from the 10 ways it has already been told. Okay, so always think in a new way of telling a story or a script, writing in a script. So it will be much more and more interesting. Visualize the story, the very, very important part of script writing. Okay, whenever you're writing the script, you are writing it for the film, so you should always be able to visualize it, imagine it completely clearly in your own mind. Okay, so and as think in as details as possible. Do not leave anything out that it will have that if you're thinking of a building, don't think think about what color the building is. If you're not mentioning the color, it can be many number of colors, right? So a school building will have a different color, a bank or an office building will have a different color, right? So the moment you are mentioning a yellow color building, it somewhat refers to a school building or a gallery or something. Generally, no office will have a yellow color, right? So this kind of things you can actually think in details, and as much as details you think about, the whole picture, the whole script becomes very, very clear, right? Practice a lot. That's the last step, and that's the most important step. The more you practice, you will get hold of, much more techniques of writing the script, and you will be able to understand the different techniques of storytelling and writing it for the film. Okay, this is something you are doing which is very new, and the more you practice it, you will be able to grasp it in a better way. So these 10 points are the basic 10 things. What we will do now, I will share with you one video that you should watch. And also in the next class, we are going to start writing a screenplay. I'll first show you in a demo how I am writing from a story to the screenplay. And then I will provide you some stories which you will write it as a script. Okay. So on Wednesday class, we will start writing a screenplay. If you're writing on computers, fine. If you're writing in hand, carry A4 sheet paper, A4 sizes of paper. If you're writing on hand, if you're writing in computer, write it in a Word document, A4 size paper. Okay. So we will end today's record video, and I'll share with you some video. I think about 1 hour is remaining in the class. I'll share with you some half an hour is remaining, I guess. So I'll share with you some video which you should watch now, right? That will give you a little more understanding about script writing. And I'm sharing these videos about other people talking about script writing because these are experts. And like we will always have these guest lectures, right, from eminent people, because people working in the field, see, I'm a teacher teaching this, right? But people who are actually working in the industry, who are working in the films, will have much more deeper knowledge and understanding of this, right? So the more videos you will see of those, experts, you will get an idea much more better. So that is why I'm sharing this lecture videos with you, which again you have to watch very, very carefully. Any questions, any confusions, you can ask me in Botim group. I will be answering them. Next class, we will start writing a script. Guys, the most important thing is you understand whatever we have taught till now, and you should be very clear about the story part. Okay, because if you are not yet clear about the story part, then talking about script, you will not understand anything. Okay, so if I have any questions regarding the story part, you can see the videos before I have said sent again. And if there is any confusion, again, also anytime you can ask me. Okay, so see you in the next class. Please watch the additional video now. And any questions or confusions, ask me in the coaching group. Bye, guys.